Good evening, good evening. Hey, roommates, come on in. Come on in, come on in. Give me some thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Good evening. Happy Wednesday. Hey, roommates, come on in. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Make sure I ain't got this volume up. Hey, come on in, y'all. Hello, hello. Hey, roommates. Hey, y'all. All right. I think we cooking with grease. Hello. Hey, Brown Fox. Hello, hello. Good evening, roommates. Happy Wednesday. I see Instagram, not Facebook. Let me get y'all going. Hey, y'all. Come on in. Hey, can you all hear me? I see some thumbs up. Hey, y'all. Hey. I'm trying to make sure I can see y'all comments. Y'all know that's always a thing with me on this computer. Thumbs up. Can you all hear me? Hey, Sharon. Love you. Hey, Brown Fox. Can you guys hear me? Hello, hello. Let me refresh because I don't see where you guys are saying you can hear me. I'm good. Thank you for asking. Can you hear me, Sharon? All right. Okay, guys, I don't see Facebook telling me that they could hear me. Hey, Brown Fox, can you hear me on Instagram? Okay. Thank you. Hey, y'all. Okay, so I got confirmation on both Instagram and Facebook. Hey, y'all. Happy Wednesday. We are going to, thank you, Drill Sergeant. Hey, twin. And so, guys, it has been a hell of a ride this whole month of October. We had Chicago Fashion Week. There's been a lot of awareness talks and walks that many of us have participated in, that I have participated in. So it's been extremely busy month, really around awareness. And so I want to just really give a kudos to all of our survivors of breast cancer and domestic violence. And I just want everyone to know that I stand in the gap. Hey, y'all, see y'all waves. I stand in the gap with all of the victims and all of the survivors as it relates to both breast cancer and domestic violence. Okay, and so last week, guys, I had the opportunity to share my testimony, right, regarding just domestic violence and my experience in that. And so I want to take the opportunity right now to just really give you guys, send a bunch of hearts and a bunch of love to you guys for loving on me and for supporting me. As you know, it's really challenging. It's challenging to sit in this spot, to be open, right, to criticism and to the things that I say, right? Your story is your story, my story is mine. And so it can be extremely challenging just to face all of the things we have to face, especially with doing it in the midst of the public, right? And so I'm thankful to God that the outpouring of support and love that you guys have genuinely given me. And I'm gonna actually read some of the text messages or DMs that I got. I'm not gonna name names, y'all know I'll never do that, right? But I'm just so thankful because what I said when I posted about domestic violence awareness and me personally speaking to surviving domestic violence, one of the things that I said is that I prayed, not just said it, but I prayed that my testimony will be someone else's breakthrough. And so I got the opportunity to just really hear from you guys, and it was so heartfelt and heartwarming at the same time. I want to give a public thank you and just a big show of my appreciation to my big sister, my spiritual encourager, Dolores Bailey. Baby, you stood in the gap with me, not just last week as you were the guest host and as you hosted that episode, right, about my breakthrough and overcoming domestic violence, but for the sheer fact that you've actually stood in the gap with me for many years from a young person, and you were the perfect person for the job, for the interview, to sit here and stand in the gap with me. So Dolores Bailey, I love you, I appreciate you, and nothing that we have done has gone in vain. All right, cool. So with that being said, guys, after last week's episode, I got a bunch of DMs, I got a bunch of text messages, I got a bunch of phone calls, and it was from people near and far. It was from people near and far, and it was an overwhelming amount of support that came through for your girl, despite, any other things that we know have gone on. I have to tell you, you guys touched me in ways that was so emotional, but so encouraging and empowering at the same time. So with that, I thank you all. I'm actually going to read a few of the comments that I got from those people who were supporting me and standing in solidarity with me. And some of these people are people who have actually gone through themselves. And so one of our roommates said, "You are so brave. I would have broken down in tears before my stories could even exit my mouth. I pray daily that one day I will be able to tell my story and possibly save someone else's life. I thank God every day that my kids and I were able to walk away. You are a wonderful person inside and out." Thank you. Thank you so much to the person that sent that to me. Another person sends to me, "I'm ready to tell my story. I want to do an interview. Not only do I want to do an interview, I'd rather do it on your platform. Shout out to Rumor Has It Podcast." Thank you, thank you, thank you. Another roommate writes, "You want me to come to your podcast to tell my story? I got a story to tell because I have been through some shit. But me love you so much, and I appreciate the things that you're doing for the culture." Thank you again. Someone wrote, "Hey auntie, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for your healing. I'm thankful that God has covered you. I love you." And there's one more that really, it really wasn't about thanking me. It really wasn't about telling me how brave I was. It asked me a simple question. How did you endure all that you endured, and yet you're still standing? You are the epitome of you don't look like what you've been through. Roommates, I tell you, none of this is easy. Even with telling your story, you gotta remember it's always going to be other sides to a story. And we're not in the business of allowing anything to overshadow us as we are working our ways out of circumstances and out of situations that have held us bound, right? And so to my roommates, to my family members that reached out, to my friends, I thank you guys. I appreciate you all for standing in that gap with me. And so with all of the thank yous, I'm appreciative, and we just gonna go on and jump on up in here, right? I am going to answer in multiple parts questions, the question of how did I endure? Now, if you watched this episode last week, and I do want to say, last week's episode was one of the top viewed shows, not the, but one of the top viewed shows since I've been doing Rumor Has It. Okay? And there's nothing or no one that can ever overshadow the support that this platform gets. We are supported day in and day out, week in and week out. And that's why I'm not backing down. Okay? I'm sticking beside. Okay? And so it has come, there's going to come a time in every facet of our lives where we are going to transition, hopefully, when things are no longer serving us. But today we ask the question, how did I, or how do you, because this is still about me, and this is about that journey that you guys have heard me talk about for well over a year now. But very specifically, someone wants to know, how did I endure the things that I share about enduring domestic violence and still standing, right? And so before we get started, right, I want to start off as we normally do. And that's with a Bible verse, right? Everything that I do, everything that Rumor Has It stands for, everything that I am is literally because of God, right? And I know that there's other reasons, but the top reason for me overcoming any and everything is God. But I'm going to take us to Genesis 50 and 20, and it tells us, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. And so this verse spoke to me on so many levels, right? Roommates, we have to be mindful of that. The very things that is meant for evil or is meant to harm you by the enemy, whoever that is, right? We have to be mindful that God will take those very things and turn it around for our good, okay? And so I don't want us to get hung up on any backlash. I don't want us to get hung up on anything that is sent to overshadow what it is that we're trying to get through and trying to make it through, right? And so I'm reminded when I think about that verse, I'm reminded of the story of Joseph. Now, for any of you guys that may read the Bible, I'm gonna give you a little bit of context about Joseph. So Joseph was a person that was favored, right? He was favored by God, and he was able to do and see and interpret dreams. And he would tell these elaborate stories and also interpret dreams in a way that, when you're gifted, a lot of times people are just, they either admire that about you or they really can envy that about you, right? And so Joseph's brothers, guys, and this is the story in Genesis, his brothers really were, they were really sick of him, like, interpreting these dreams. And one thing that really took them over the edge, guys, is when he essentially told his brothers, excuse me, guys, that he's going to rule the nation. He's going to, rule a kingdom. And so what that did was that spewed a lot of jealousy and hatred between his brothers towards him, right? And so what they did is that they tricked him off. They tricked him off into not necessarily the wilderness, but away from the family and away from where it can be recognized on what they were intending to do to him. And so some of his brothers wanted to kill him and do away with him, while one of the brothers was like, listen, we that's our brother, right? We can't do that to him. And so what they did was they sold Joseph into slavery, right? And so eventually he went into slavery. We all know what slavery is. But what it did was Joseph was catapulted, right, into position of power eventually with Egypt, right? And so the interpretation of this, guys, where I'm going with this, is that when people fear who you are and the power it is that you have. They are seeking revenge. They are plotting against you. They're doing all type of things to bring harm to you as a means of like minimizing you and muting you, right? And so what the core message of what the enemy is using or means for horrible or harm or any of that, and God means for good, is that it's emphasizing God's sovereignty, right? It's showing that he can work through a human being's evil and adversity to achieve his divine plan. Guys, when we are living in our purpose, we are in alignment with what it is we're supposed to do. I'm not mistaken at all about what Rumor Has It is and what the platform has breathed. I am not in the business of doing anything but helping God's people out. And that puts me, and that will put you, just in a place of really having to endure. Because what you do is you sacrifice yourself. You put yourself on the front line where you're trying to help people, where you're trying to save people, and where you're trying to really walk in alignment for the purpose of your life. And so today, that's really what we're going to talk about. I just really wanted to set the stage biblically to let you guys know that although you endure, it doesn't take away from what it is that your divine purpose is or the divine plan that is over your life, okay? So when this person asks me, and I'm sorry because I see loves and likes and I see comments. Let me see what we got there, because I'm actually going to give you guys a question that I would love for you all to answer in just a moment. So my initial reaction to the person asking me, how did you endure? I had to really sit back and think about that, right? I was like, okay, how did I endure? But even before I endured, what I did was I tolerated the things that was going on around me, right? And the definition essentially of tolerance is the capacity to endure, right? We talked about capacity to endure last week, but the capacity to endure continued subjection to something without adverse reaction. Now here's the thing, roommates. It's not that we don't have reactions to things that are going on within or around us. We actually do have reactions to them, but it's how we choose to react to things that really put us on a different level and a different playing field, right? Because you don't want to fall out of your purpose, and you don't want to fall out of your divine alignment being so overreactive or over responsive to things that are designed to harm you or designed to bring you down, right? So you really want to be extremely careful about that. You really want to think before you act, and that goes with anything. So I'm going to ask you guys a question, and you can drop it in the chat, your response. Have you ever gone through something so heavy only to look back and realize that that storm, that circumstances, those things actually grew you, right? Because that's what it's about. Really reflecting on, man, how did I make it through? How did I endure that and still end up okay on the winning end of the things as things were unfolding? Okay? So think about that. Have you ever gone through something so heavy and you look back and you realize that that actually grew you? It didn't break you the way that either the person or the situation intended for it to happen. Okay? So today, we're going to talk about endurance. We're going to talk about healing. We're going to talk about divine purpose through adversity. Getting through and overcoming those very things that are designed to break you. So what does it look like to have the capacity to endure? What does it look like, roommates? Endurance is more than just survival. I want to set the stage there. Because a lot of times people think that because you're going through something, you're automatically just in survival mode. We have to think about the purpose for our life. What is God's purpose for our lives? What is the purpose? What is the will for our lives? What is it that we're supposed to be doing? I've told you guys more than once. Rumor has it. So rumor, a lot of people think it's, are you M-O-R, spelled the traditional way in the dictionary. But Rumor is a lady that is in the Bible, actually in Genesis as well. And everything that we do here, Rumor has it, is for motivation, inspiration, to uplift, and really to just cultivate conversations and discussion around healing and around uplifting ourselves despite everything that's going on around us, okay? And so I want us to realize this. Pain does not disqualify us from the purpose that is attached to our lives. I'm going to say that again. Pain does not disqualify us for the purpose that is attached to our lives, attached to the situations that we go through, and attached to our name. Pain is going to do one or two things for you. It is either going to grow you, develop you in it, or you can very well lose yourself in that same situation. So it's more so you have to choose. Because you've gone through something, roommates, that does not mean that you are disqualified. I'm not disqualified from sitting here wanting to help people and leaning into people because of the pain that I've endured, right? In fact, it qualifies you more. Experience is your biggest teacher. We've talked about that before. Experience is absolutely your biggest teacher. And so when you are growing through your pain, that's when your story is that much more powerful, that much more purposeful, because you, in hindsight, you're thinking, or you learn, why is it that I came through this? Because not everybody comes through. And not coming through doesn't mean that you literally lose your life to it, but it does mean that in some juncture, you have gotten trumped in that pain. We see people every day that is literally stuck 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I'm just thankful that I'm able to look at all of this and experience and appreciate the experience for what it was for, which was my divine purpose. Hey, Fave. And so I have my Fave, Tasha, saying to me, either it will make you or break you. I agree with you. Hey, Chantel. Hey, my favorite girl. And so it would either make you or break you. And I agree with that, because if you can look at your pain and you can figure out what is it that I'm supposed to get from this? Though I've endured it, what is it that I'm supposed to get from this? Now, when I talked to you guys last week about my experiences in domestic violence, it's a few things that I know that I grew through that experience, right? One of those things is I learned empathy. I learned how to empathize with people, and I learned to try to understand all situations from more perspectives than just my own. Because what happens, roommates, if we get caught up simply on our own perspective about a situation, especially one that more than one person is involved. Now, if you're just the only person involved, okay, fine, cool. But if there's other people involved, it does take a certain level of a gift for you to be able to step outside of the situation and literally try to assess it in its entirety, right? It takes strength. Hey, Dee. One of our roommates is saying, it looks like changing the trajectory of situations that has been occurring through generations. It's breaking cycles through growing pains. You have experienced things in order to understand and know right from wrong, in your opinion. Listen, Chantel, that is a great starting point. Last week, I told you guys that projection in pain is real. Because someone inflicts pain upon you, it doesn't mean that you cause them to inflict that pain, right? So projection is when someone have internalized a subset of something, right? Whether it's a feeling, whether it's an emotion, it's something that it's attached to a place of pain that they themselves are unable to process and to rid of those feelings. And we talked about, it takes levels of forgiveness. It takes levels of insightfulness. It takes you going to God and really trying to get an understanding of, why am I even here, right? We talked about the Proverbs tells us that the weapon will form, but it shall not prosper. So we got to remember the enemy is the enemy for a reason. It will form. You will go through, but you have to understand. So I think about the things that has helped to shape me out of the situations that I've gone through. Okay, and so we're getting that it's sheer strength, right, to be able to endure. I agree with that, right? It does take a certain level of strength. If I didn't sit on this platform and tell those of you who have not lived this with me, now some of you guys that is very much on here that has lived this through me, that know the very people who I am speaking about, and you have watched me and helped me overcome while enduring, right? But there's some people on Rumor Has It that don't know me from a can of paint. And everything that I say, they only know it from my perspective, and yet they don't know me personally. So I get that a lot from people who don't know me. Like, oh my God, you went through that. You're so strong. But Deshanette, I agree with you. It is strength. It's there's so much strength in vulnerability, roommates. I don't want you guys to think that everything has to be harbored in. Because if you harbor and harbor and harbor, eventually you are going to blow. So we all need an outlet. We all have to find positive outlets, even if it's just a long time in isolation. I've been in a season and in a period of isolation for a while now, right? And you have to, although you're strong, you still have to build. Although I'm strong, I still had to build the courage to do and say some of the things that I do and say on this platform, right? Because you want to be able to stand in your truth while still being able to exhibit and position your strength. But I'm here to tell you, vulnerability will take you so much further, because many of us get lost in the whole trajectory of strength. It's okay to be vulnerable while also being strong. I'm a living witness of that, okay? And so one of our roommates is saying we need to turn that pain into purpose and do peace over power, because pressure busts under, pipes bust under pressure. We sing it to the choir. I think you sing it to the choir, Faith, because that is absolutely the truth. We do have to have our outlets. It's not gonna be a podcast for everyone. But you gotta remember, before Rumor Has It ever existed, I had to live in my truth and find ways to overcome after the endurance, right? So we were just talking about tolerance a moment ago, right? And so that tolerance is that capacity to endure. I don't want us to think that we are supposed to tolerate things that are hurting us or that is intended to hurt us. That is not the message that I want to get across. But what I do want to convey is that when you realize your purpose and you realize that you have overcome some of those very situations that was intended to break you, that ultimately strengthened in you more than it did harm you. When I was going through, it was a heavy time. And my outlet at the time was my friends, right? Laughing my way through, crying my way through, right? And then also savoring the moments to really try to process and understand how it is that you get through and you make it through despite all of the pain that is attached to it. Being a mother, being a young professional, being a student, like all of those things still had to be taken care of despite the things that was going on. So those are the very things that shows and exhibit that strength that we talk about, being able to pick up your cross and carry it, right? And not losing yourself in those very things that were intended to hurt you, right? Y'all are on fire tonight, okay? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. You speaking, all right? How is it? Hey, sister. Hey, Too Sweet. How did you overcome your situation? Did you go to therapy? Because most of us need it, but we don't know how to get it? Great question. Okay. So I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I overcame my situation. I shared last week that a lot of me overcoming was part of it was enduring. But even in that endurance, I learned who the people were that I was dealing with. And so I learned ways to pacify the situation so that I can be okay even when I wasn't okay, right? And so there's only a couple reasons that something, hey Al, I see you, babe. I'm going to get to your comment in a moment. There are a couple of reasons that you should, remember I talked about the physical reactions to a threat, right? And so there's only a couple reasons that you should have these physical reactions. So remember we talked about the palpitating heart, the sweaty hands, the dry swallows, just literal physical reactions to what was going on in my environment. So your body is going to always be your first cue. So to answer your question, how I was able to overcome the situation is that I started to ground myself by being able to understand when things were going to happen before they ever happen. Right? So just analyzing the situations that I was in. So knowing your partner, knowing the person who is enraged, knowing the person who is upset, when you know who your offense is, you are better equipped in your defense, right? And so part of me overcoming was just learning how to be okay even when I wasn't okay, right? Obviously, I took it to God, and I had the courage and the strength through Him to be able to overcome. But another big part of it too, honestly, was my family and my friends. Right? They didn't make me. They supported me because they knew that I was enduring, and so in that, they provided support in the way that they knew how to. They were a listening ear. I burnt their ears up. Okay, I burnt their ears up just talking about what I was going through. One thing I've always been is I've been an open book to those who are close to me, those who I know will not use those things against me, because when you are trying to overcome, you don't want things to be thrown in your face, even when you decide to go back, even when you decide to forgive, right? It is certain things that as you're navigating in that pain, as you're navigating in those situations that you really don't want, you don't want to face, but you still muster up the courage to do it. And you do that a lot of times. I didn't even have the strength to do it for myself, but it was God, it was my friends, it was my family that stood in solidarity with me to let me know, listen, you're not delusional. You going through, we see it, and in some junctures too, they be stepping in, don't get it wrong, okay? And so Al is asking, or he's saying, I'm amazed at what you're saying today. Did not match your live a few days ago. It seems very demonic, very, very fake. Now, Al, I don't know if you're talking to me, right? But there's nothing here. There's nothing here, guys, that we are doing. Everything here comes from a pure place, a genuine place. Now, I'm not sure if you're speaking to what it is that you may have witnessed in other places, but, on this platform, we don't do demonic. We don't do anything to bring people down. We don't, I address truths. I speak my truth, and I leave it at that. I'm not for no BS, right? We talk about the tea and all that stuff, but the tea over here is just being able to overcome the stuff that we go through, right? And so you really want to be extremely, extremely careful about how you move and how you navigate, okay? Cool. So being authentic and standing in your truth is how you overcome things with God and self and others. It helps, and authenticity is key. You got to stay true to yourself. You have to stay true to yourself despite everything that is going on around you, right? There is nothing that the universe can put out here that can overthrow the word and the kingdom of God. There's nothing, right? Everything that we do and everything that we go through, it's designed in that way, because if we ain't, we got to learn and grow and change through the stuff that we're going through. I could have easily got stuck, guys. I could have easily got stuck at where people were trying to tear me down. But I used those very things to overcome. So to your question, Too Sweet, it's not a one set answer on how did I overcome, because I had both positive and negative coping mechanisms that actually held me up when I was going through, right? And so being authentic is one of those things, because when you sit and you tell your truth, how is it that someone can use your truth against you? They cannot. They cannot. And that's why they fail miserably, and people expose themselves when it is when they're doing things to really trying to expose you. So we got to be real careful with that. You know, the Bible says, or it may be an old hymn or proverb, honey, that says, when you dig one hole, you definitely got to make sure that you dig two, especially if you're looking to just really take someone out. So we got to be very careful with that, okay? Do I fault myself for growing and having to leave people you love behind? I love that question. And so, no. The short answer is no, I do not fault myself. Because here's the thing. Especially when it comes to people that you love, right? Or people that you grew up with. We all have a choice in any and everything that we do, right? And I can't feel bad in making the cognizant decision to want to heal, right, and to fight for my healing, and to do the correct healing, so that I'm not held in bondage to those very things that had me in bondage, you know, when I was going through, right? And so what happens is, therapy did help me, guys. And so you did ask that a moment ago. So I remember it had to be, oh guys, let me see. It had to be at least 15 years ago. 15 to 16 years ago. And I ended up going to therapy, not because I wanted to, but because I was dealing with a supervisor that was so out of control. And so she was trying to manipulate the situation and ended up just saying, like, I needed to do 3 sessions of EAP. For those of us who are employed, that's Employee Assistance Program. So that's basically three free therapy sessions that you have to go through. And they analyzing you and they doing all of that stuff, right? And so what I am learning is that people are, what I learned is that though I was being sent and forced, right? I didn't want to go. I was being sent and I was being forced to go through therapy. I wasn't ready, right? I wasn't choosing therapy at that particular time. So what happened is I sat and I went through, and initially I was trying to, like, you know, I was upset about the work part of things, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to seize this opportunity to literally just do everything it is that I need to do to take advantage of these 3 sessions. So I had to talk about work a little bit, but I simply asked the therapist, I said, you know what, there are some things that I have been enduring and that I've been going through in my childhood and my young adulthood that I really need to process. Can we focus there? And so, y'all, those 3 free sessions turned into a year-long healing journey for me, the very first healing journey for me. And so I decided that, you know what, I am going to do everything in my power to heal from the things that I never got permission to heal from, right? Nobody had apologized about the things that they had done to me. Nobody had asked for any forgiveness right? No one had asked or did anything in their power to help me. So I was like, you know what? Let me get some things off my chest, and let me figure some things out, and let me process some things for myself. And so that's what I did. I didn't choose therapy. Therapy chose me. And that was just my first go around with it, too, sweet. And I know you asked. If hey guys, I think that AI Montana may be, he gotta be the enemy. It ain't the AI Montana that I know. And so I'm almost sure that there's somebody who wants to get their point across. And I'll say this. You guys know, for those of you who know, you know, last week after we aired and I talked about domestic violence and my story in the domestic violence, someone did a live and expressing themselves about my truth, right? And so I believe that this may be that person, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. A wicked heart is going to show itself every time, just like a pure heart is going to. And so you guys know, like I know, I don't have no ill intentions, because I'm trying to grow as a result of everything that goes on around me, okay? And so let's navigate through some of this, right? Therapy helped me like no other. I will advise therapy to anybody that is going through that is really trying to find ways to overcome their demons, to overcome their guilt, their shame. Generally, people that invoke pain and inflict pain on other people are people who themselves are in pain. And they have some sort of unhealed trauma, and they're going through things that they don't even see it out for themselves. And so what they do is they inflict harm on other people. And so we talked about that. And so I need for you guys to keep that in mind. All right? Please continue with the questions. And I got you guys. All right? So we're going to talk about the fire that separates those who are called versus those who are chosen. And this is completely all about that endurance that we just spoke about, right? So the Bible reminds us that many are called, but few are chosen. And the difference isn't just talent or gifting, it is actually endurance. You can be talented, you can be gifted, but unless you withstand those things that are meant to break you, and you can stand in it, and that those very things or those very people do not prosper in what it is they're trying to do to bring you down, that endurance is something that only, we talked about diamonds being created under fire and under pressure. The finest things are made under pressure. And so we have to remember that though we go through those very things that are designed to break us, through that fire, we should very much come out more refined than trying to respond or to even allow the enemy to have you in a space that you're not meant to be in. I'm not meant to be a negative Nancy. I'm not meant to be a Debbie Downer. I'm not meant to be a person to be down for long. I've just overcome too much, right? There are so many things that are brewing in my world right now that I would be crazy to take myself out of God's alignment for my life, right? I remember as a kid, I used to say all the time, I never knew what any of this meant, guys. But again, we only speak those things. The Bible tells us to speak those things that are not as though they were. And I'm a person that is always just kind of like put it out there, the things that it is that I want to do, right? And that I intend to do. Not ever having a clue, right? Not ever having a plan. Just saying and believing in my heart the things that I would do, right? And so what happens, guys, is those things that were designed to make me to make me be in a space. And I'm sorry, guys, because I'm sitting up removing folks, child, because it's just too much. I'm trying to focus with y'all because we got a message and a word to get across, okay? And so we got to remember that if it's designed to break us, if we withstand that pressure and we endure that, at the end of all that, we should come out very much so refined and very much so put together, right? So let me tell you, as a kid or as a young adult, I used to always say, like, I'm going to have a nonprofit organization, and I'm going to do this to help people, and I'm going to do that to help people. I tell y'all all the time, I didn't choose social work chose me. I'm going to end up doing a segment, guys, probably in a couple months, doing Second Chance Month, Second Chance Awareness Month. I believe it's like in March or April. And I'm going to give you guys a whole nother perspective of me, of endurance, child, that ain't got nothing to do with domestic violence, okay? And so to say that the pressure has been on, it has been on. But there are a couple of things that has come to me in the last week, guys, since I spoke up about my truth and spoke up and out about surviving domestic violence, that I can't do nothing but smile through the things that were intended to hurt me, right? I just got in the mail this week some great news about I officially, guys, have incorporated my LLC from an LLC to a nonprofit organization. I am the founder and CEO of Grounds for Healing nonprofit. Let's be very clear. The things that I intend to do there and the things that I have been doing all of these years is just to continue to do the work. We have to find healing, or we are going to find ourselves in a whirlwind of just hurt and inflicting harm on other people. You cannot make these things up. Now, look at the enemy trying to sneak in our lives. Now, y'all know my page is public. Y'all can share this, and we want 1 million people to see it. But one thing we're not going to do is allow somebody to stand behind fake pages, because I know AM in Montana, and I knew for a fact that one here. So you got a clone out here, babe. Okay. And so, thank you guys for the congratulations. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. And so, it's going to be a lot of things coming from us, but we have to still understand that separation between those who are called or believe that they're called. Because it's sometimes we think that we are called to do things. If you're not getting confirmation roommates through things coming to fruition for you, things being produced out of your pain, I mean, it's many things that I want to do that I won't touch with a 10-foot pole, okay? And so we really got to be understanding of that. And a hard truth is that when we are in a space of being identified and being a chosen one, right? People, they have to take their hands off of us, because what happens is they can't control you. They try to manipulate how other people see you, but the spreading the rumors, the twisting the words, and painting you in a bad light doesn't do anything but attract more people to you. And so how do I overcome? It's a plethora of things, right? You have people who see right through what it is that the enemy tries to do. You have people that say, oh my God, you responded to that with so much grace. Let me tell you, it is difficult. It is difficult to go through the fire. But it's a beautiful feeling when you can come out of the fire not even smelling like smoke. Many of you guys didn't have a clue. And so I can appreciate being able to let you know that you too can overcome anything and everything that is designed to break you or destroy you. Water. Okay? And so remember that. Block out the outside noise and don't allow people, the enemy's attack, to win against what it is, what the purpose on your life is. Okay? Cool. And so remember we talked about turning our pain into purpose. Actually, that was the name of our thank y'all. I appreciate it. And Instagram, I'm so sorry, y'all. Facebook is over here cutting up. Yes. Oh, thank you, thank you. All right. I just went over to Instagram. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And so what happens, guys, is that you have to turn that pain into purpose, or you're going to find yourself in a perpetual circle, right? Trying to figure out who you are, whose you are, what is the purpose for your life. You got to turn that pain into purpose. And so what happens is, when you are enduring, you have to believe in your heart of hearts that you can be delivered from what it is that you're going through. You have to believe in your heart of heart that you can be delivered from what you're going through. Your scars should not be any shame. They're just literal evidence and proof of what it is that you've overcome. Your scars is living proof of what it is that someone or something tried to destroy you and you came out. What the enemy meant for evil, you guys have used, you should be using, and God has used for your good. And so, somebody is asking, okay, so why me, right? Why is it that that God is choosing me to go through, right? I have to tell you this, roommates. You have to trust the process. And you have to face it head on, right? I see Jody here saying he's saying to figure out your purpose, sometimes you have to just shut down and figure it out. I have isolated. I have journaled. I have taken it to God. I have had treated myself so poorly that it wasn't even funny, right? And those are the very things that you have to face when you're going through. You can't sweep it under the rug, because what's going to happen is that it's going to continue to show up in everything that you're trying to overcome. It has to be a hard pill to swallow, and it has to be a difficult glimpse in the mirror to look at yourself when you are out here inflicting pain on people. And for those of us who have endured and learned how to overcome, it is our duty to help people overcome as they're trying to navigate outside of the pain that they may very well become so used to, right? Every tear, every betrayal, every dark light, God is using that to position you and to speak life into yourself and into someone else. What I've been able to do to help people, guys, is priceless. Simply based on the things that I've had to endure, right? I've worked with DCFS. I've worked with the very, very vulnerable populations where I've been able to help them understand that you are not your circumstance. You are not your situations. Every one of us go through some sort of situation, right? And we have the wherewithal to get through what we're going through. And so you got to speak life into yourself. You got to speak life over those very things that are designed to tear you down. And that's how you know when you go from a place of being sad and woe is me, right? When you go from a place of that to a place of understanding that you were chosen for that situation. And you get from that situation what it is you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to be there, right? And somebody is saying, why not you, right? Why not you, right? We all have to be used in some capacity. Are we going to be used for the good, or are we going to be used for the bad? We all got free will. We can choose, right? Okay, cool. So I want you guys to tell me, how is it, and these questions are great, and I'm glad you guys are asking me this, but how is it that pain has helped you help someone else? Y'all know how it's helped me help people, because I come on this platform all the time and I'm willing to give just for the sake of somebody, so you can know that you are not that circumstance. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of overcoming. You are worthy of doing every single thing that it is that you're supposed to be doing, and that you're supposed to be getting. I don't falter in the success that I have. I don't throw it in other people's faces. The facts are the facts. The truth is the truth. But I don't shy away from it. I used to, right? I used to say, oh, I don't think I'm better than people, because people would say that I think I'm better than people. But what I learned is people put you in those type of categories when they themselves feel that you are in some shape, form, or fashion on a pedestal above them. And that comes with that comparative and that competing spirit. Don't go competing. Don't go competing. I told somebody this the other day, and they was like, wait a minute, I need to write this down. Listen, that competing energy and spirit, it is the root, and it is the thief of joy. Do not go comparing yourself to people or being in secret competition with people, roommates. It is going to drive you insane. Because guess what? What happens is you're setting yourself up to be in this uneasy space with someone that don't even know that they're in that space with you. So you got to be very careful, okay? When you endure, you can still choose love. Because enduring really reveals who you really are. Right? It reveals your strength. It reveals your character. No matter what no one tries to say about Nikki, or rumor has it, or Tamika, no matter what anyone tried to say about me as a whole, one thing for certain, two things for sure, I'm all about uplifting my people. I'm all about supporting my people. And that started at a young age before I even had a platform to do anything. I would go out of my way to help people. I would go out of my way to make sure that people around me are good. Okay? And so allow your situations to make you become better and not bitter. Right? There's a lot of bitter people around us, guys. There are people that are around us that are so bitter that, man, they might do something to hurt you because they cannot fathom. Why is it you? And like someone just said in the comments, why not you? Right? So I don't fret or fret about the things that I've endured. Thank you so much, sister. Never change who you are. It's only one you. So be the best you can be. Absolutely. We all we got, right? I'm all I got. You all you got. And then the circumstances that we build for ourselves around the pain. So I built a village for myself when it comes to my life, right? And what that looks like is I surround myself with people who are supportive. Not people who are enablers, right? People who would tell me when I'm wrong, when I'm right? People who are able to know when I'm not okay, even if I say I'm okay, right? And so we gotta be very cognizant and picky about those people we have in our intimate space, right? Because endurance really do confirm our identity. It helps us help others, right? Okay, good. We can give up at any time, but instead we are moving through this life being grounded in faith. And that is another thing that confirms what it is that we're doing. We are all put here with a purpose. Now, everybody's purpose is different. Everybody got a different purpose, and everybody got to serve their purpose, right? And so I am just here to let you guys know that when you are rooted in good, good is going to come from it. When you are rooted in evil, it is going to be metastasized in pain, in jealousy, in hatred, in envy. And you have to go somewhere and sit it out and find ways to just work through your stuff as opposed to inflicting it upon other people. Okay? All right. I see. True story. And I'm seeing so true, true story. Okay? And so get grounded in your faith, right? And know that you're not enduring just to be enduring. Okay? When people try to control the narrative, it only confirms your influence. Roommates, we sit here having our roommate session as we do every single week for over a year. We ain't bothering nobody. We minding our business, doing and minding the business that pays us, okay? And one thing for certain and two things for sure. When people are against you or trying to throw dirt on your name, trying to make people see you in negative lights, trying to minimize who you are, it really does confirm. Hear me out. It does confirm your influence. Now, see, one thing about me is that there's never been a time in my life, not professionally or personally, that I have abused my power, abused my influence. No matter what it is that anyone tries to say about me or this platform, at the end of the day, you can go back. I invite you to go back and watch. We are about 60 shows in. We are 60 shows in, and we are almost a year and a half in from launching Rumor Has It. And since we've started this platform, it's been about uplifting and encouraging people. There are a lot of mad devils in hell right now that's upset about me telling my story and about me talking about surviving domestic violence. I talked about that. I painted the picture that it started at a very young age before I ever started dating, right? The root of my domestic violence relationships started at home. It wasn't out in the streets. It wasn't a man. It was at home. And as a young child, I tried to navigate that the best that I can. But as I grew in age, as I've grown in wisdom, as I've grown in time, I've learned that when people cannot manipulate you any longer, when people cannot force their ways upon you, because I'll tell you this, forgiveness does not require reconciliation, roommates. You can forgive all day and all night. I'll tell you just like this. When I decided to forgive the people who had victimized me domestically in my life years ago, when I decided to do that, I gave it to God, right? I no longer thought I needed to fight the battle, because the truth is what the truth is. My part of the story is my part of the story. You can't interpret my part of the story for me, right? And so we really need to be careful about that. When manipulation cannot redefine your truth, it only highlights your freedom in God. Guys, I am freer today than I've ever been before, right? And so there's a couple of things I'm going to do, right, in this closing segment, because it has been a whirlwind of a week. But it has taught me exactly what my power is, exactly what my strength is. I thought I knew power and strength until every time the enemy and adversary pop up in my face, up in my sphere, when I'm minding my business. I don't chase people pages. We don't do that type of stuff, right? Because if you chase it down, you're going to end up finding what it is that you're looking for. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to end up hurting you. That's why anything that you need to know, it's going to be revealed to you. Anything that you need to know is going to be revealed to you. Shout out to my sister, one of my sisters that's on here, who really knows me, and who just came from such a good place, wanting to come in and be a light in all of the things that has unfolded. And I just want to tell you, thank you, Ann. I appreciate you so much, because listen, we are all human. We all fall short of the glory. But at the end of the day, it's not about what you do. It's about how you do it. So I definitely know how to receive people when they're coming from a genuine place. Everything about me is authentic. Everything about me is wanting to be better, wanting to live a better life, wanting to do better. Okay, and so before I go into closing segment, I got a couple of comments and I want to just highlight those. Chantel is saying, "Visions ain't yours, it's God that has the best thing to do without ordering yourself some karma." Listen, there's no expiration date to karma. Your address can move 1,000 times, but karma is going to meet you where karma is going to meet you at. I sleep peacefully every night simply out of the fact that I know that everything that I do comes from a place of just authenticity and a place of wanting to help you guys heal in whatever way that you can. I can tell in your voice that you're hurting because of you telling your truth. Don't let it take your power back. Don't let it take your power. Stand on business. That's it. That's it. That's all you can do. You got to stand on business. You got to stand in your truth. I will continue to devote the month of October, guys, to domestic violence and also to breast cancer, right? We don't want one to overshadow the other. For the last 2 Octobers, I brought forth breast cancer specialists. Again, I'm a part of all type of walks and talks, and then I do all that it is that I can to lend to the culture, right? And so, with that being said, it's always a pleasure to be able to sit up and be used for your purpose, right? All right, and so we've made it through. We've made it through another moment. You've made it through another situation that was meant to destroy you, roommates. And what that means is that we've won, right? Anytime that something is set up or designed to take you out, then you have to know that if it doesn't destroy you, you the winner in the situations. Affirmations I want you guys to always remember. I'm built to endure. We are built to endure. No matter what the circumstances are, no matter what is going on around us, we really are built to endure. It's what you do after that endurance that really defines and shapes who you are. Because the fact of the matter is, sometimes endurance can leave you bitter. Sometimes it can leave you broken. And sometimes you don't see it to the others. You don't make it to the other side of that healing process because you get so caught up in those very things that try to destroy you. And so I'm so very thankful that I was built for endurance. My pain and your pain, roommates, it produces power. It produces power if you use it for the greater good, right? If you use it for the greater good and you don't use it to inflict pain on other people, right? And so uncovering the mask is a real phenomenon. And Sister Soldier, I'm coming down there to support you because you're right. We have to stand in it. We have to strengthen, inspire, support, and transform with us. So we definitely are built to endure. And with that being said, guys, I'm going to close like this. After our last episode of Rumor Has It, I was called out by name. And instead of reactively responding, I decided to write an open letter to my sister and to anybody else that this could help, because we are building this foundation here on freedom, on truth, on overcoming, on enduring, and not allowing the enemy to win. Okay? So here's my open letter to my sister. I wish we could go back to the days of pure sibling love and innocence, when we used to rub each other's ears until we fell asleep. However, here we are, and instead it goes a little something like this. This letter wasn't written out of hurt or out of hate. It was written out of release. I've carried your pain on my back for far too long, confusing it for my own. You've spent years trying to justify the things that you did, the words that you said, the ways you broke me down. But this time, I am no longer accepting your version of my story and my truth. I often wondered, what must you have gone through for you to choose to inflict pain over love? You may have been hurting, but that never gave you the permission to hurt me or to hurt others around you. Pain may explain your actions, but it would never excuse them. We were both raised in the same environment, but I chose healing rather than to harm you or anyone around me. You didn't just hit me, you humiliated me. You didn't just try to control me, you conditioned me to be silent and to think I wasn't worthy of love unless it came through fear. Every fight, every bruise, every time you turned others against me, that is the very abuse that I'm talking about. No matter how much you try to rewrite the scenario, the abuse is the abuse. You can't justify decades of emotional and physical damage. You can't wrap your cruelty in excuses and call it love. Love doesn't destroy. Love doesn't isolate. Love doesn't make someone shrink every time that they walk into a room that you're in. I spent too many years trying to understand you. Now I'm choosing to understand me. To heal the parts of myself that still flinch when someone raises their voice. To reclaim the parts that you try to erase with your control and manipulation. I don't hate you, but I will no longer protect your image at the expense of my peace. You don't get to hide behind that we're shared blood anymore. You don't get to silence me with your guilt or your gaslighting. This letter isn't revenge, it's release. I forgive you, but forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It means I'm setting myself free from the weight of your abuse. You can tell your story however you want, but I'm finally telling mine out loud, unashamed, and unbroken. Always, your little sister. Roommates, that is a weight off my shoulder that I've been needing and wanting to release for so many years now. I want to remind you guys that endurance is not punishment. It's proof. It's proof that you're anointed. It's proof that you're trusted. It's proof that you're chosen. And when the chosen endures, they emerge not just victorious, but transformed. My closing scripture to you all is going to be this. Blessed is the one who preserves under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life. And you can find that in James 1 and 12. Roommates. We have come to the close of another episode of Rumor Has It. We should live and not die. We should not be silenced. We should be here to overthrow anything or anybody that's trying to hold us in bondage. Roommates, I love you guys beyond measure. I thank you for your support. I thank you for your unwavering commitment to this platform. And I thank you for entrusting in me the vision that God and the purpose that God has for my life and how I choose to use it on this platform. Roommates, I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you all. Good night.